What's going on, everybody? It's Joe from Total Justice Gaming. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. We work hard to bring you guys BuddyFight videos, be they match videos or deck profiles, 5 days a week. So, last week we had my deck, which was Abygale. We made a secondary deck because I wanted to try out some new spells. I made a whole second deck. I wanted to see what the flow was like. I mess with my main Abygale deck. Put the match videos up there. We got some good response from you guys. We got some good comments, both on and off the chat, via Facebook and via the YouTube comments, which we always are thankful for. The deck profile I am going to be showing you guys is the updated version of Abygale that I got with help from you from the community, and of course from Mario Torres, who I love talking to him. He is one of the most helpful people when it comes to Abygale there is. I am going to break his heart slightly in this deck profile. I apologize, Mario. One of the advice you gave me in terms of consistency actually cost me a game this week in locals. But I really do enjoy talking with Mario. He's a great guy, and he's been super, super helpful. So we're going to bounce right into the deck profile. Right off the bat, we are still going to be running SD Abygale is the buddy. I, of course, have the secret rare flag of Guido. Always love it to death. Just really, really happy I pulled that. So, bouncing right in, since the buddy is SD Abygale, we're, of course, going to be running 4 SD Abygales. It's just good buddy. Call cost is a gauge. I can potentially get a card, a life, and potentially monster destruction. So, we are, of course, going to be running 4 of him. Next up, we're running 2 Grim Reaper Guido. The ability to control the board via potentially 2 kills. I can swing into one monster, blow up another monster. They deck out equal to the monster size. I get gauge equal to the monster size. It's just bonuses all around. So we run 2 of him. I would like to run 1 more, but 2 right now is pretty fine. Recently, I was having gauge issues with the deck, so on advice from you guys, I am now running 3 Czar Crowns. Sorry about the glare. I am working out of home as opposed to the card shop. This one lets me just get a gauge and potentially a second gauge if my opponent has enough in their drop zone. Hits a decent amount of numbers, but this is really a utility monster rather than an attacking monster, so I can use him to sacrifice to one of my size 2s, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we run 3 Czar Crown. Getting to the other Abygales, we are going to be running 4 of the Awakening Black Dragon Abygale. Just on-call destruction, hits that magic number of 5k or above. We run 4 of it. Next up, we are going to be running, as soon as I can get them out, sorry about that, 4 retaliation style Abygales. They are going to be very helpful. Zoom in a little more on that. Try to focus a little bit better. There we go. And we lose the Total Justice Gaming logo on there. So, Retaliation Abygale. Retaliation Abygale lets me put the monster in the center. It lets me put something that pretty much makes the opponent give me a resource, which is always good. It hits decent numbers. Again, it hits 5k or above, which is what I'm always shooting for in monsters nowadays. The credit 2 is pretty standard. It just makes the opponent give me resources, which is always good. A new card we are adding into the deck is one of the secret rare monsters that came out of Dragon Fighters. Or Secret Pack Monster, excuse me, Blackberry Canyon Disgorge. His stats aren't that great. He's essentially another wall. If I need to potentially stall the opponent, add his stats are a 1-2-6. Play him in the center, or I can play him off the side since he does have a move. Whenever he swings, I mill the opponent for 2, I believe. And then if there's 15 or more, I can put a black dragon from the drop zone back into my hand. So it allows not only increased milling, but it also allows for recursion. I also found a nice little trick when I link attack with Black Dragon Force. I mill the opponent 5 every attack. Next up, we're going to be running 3 Balsams. The size 2 Balsam. He just lets me sack a black dragon on the board, and I get to gain a gauge, draw a card. So he goes with my set spell Obituary. He goes with Czar Crown, potentially giving me 3 gauge in a card, or a gauge, a card, and the opponent has to pitch a card from their hand, which is always fantastic. He hits that 5K or above, but that's to be expected since he's a size 2. We are running him at a 3 of. For impact monsters, we're running 2 Vanishing Death Hole. Vanishing Death Hole is still the best Abygale impact in the game, mostly because it just hits for a colossal number with a crit of 6. It's got ridiculously good stats at 8/8. I can get it out any way, shape, or form. Sometimes even more beneficial if I sack... this does say Black Dragon. Okay, yeah. I keep forgetting, guys. Sorry about that. Forgot it's any Black Dragon. I was about to say Black Dragon Monster. It just lets me swing for game. It can't be nullified if I have my opponent milled a pretty good chunk. Crit of 6 is nothing to sneeze at. And he is the best impact for Abygale. To help combat the new meta, I am now also running 1 Last Death Violence. It's a bit more costly than what I would like, but the ability to negate all abilities on the board and then board wipe, be it set spell, weapon, or otherwise, or monster, it just comes in handy. I'm not even really looking for the triple attack. I'm looking for the board wipe effect. So we are running him only at a 1-of. Weapons, we got some retooling on the weapons. I'm currently running 1 Gale Fang. This lets me, when it's destroyed, because there's a pretty fair amount of item destruction nowadays, it lets me gain a life and draw a card on its destruction. Hits decent numbers at a 5/2. It only costs a gauge, so we're running it currently at a 1-of. I want to be able to get at a 2-of, but I'm having a pain in the butt trying to find a second copy out of in all my things. I think I'm going to have to see if any of the guys at Locals has it. To go with it, we're running 1 copy of Retaliation Style Dragon Force. This just lets me save myself, potentially from the majority of the decks. I still can get killed instantaneously, and this is a moot point with Thunder Empire and Athora. Honestly, I want to make this a second Gale Fang, but I still want to run at least 1 of it right now because this does save my butt and lets me control the board on its call. Ending out the weapons, we are running 2 Black Dragon Forces. Nothing to sneeze at with an attack of 8 and a crit of 3. It also makes my opponent mill, and I gain a life even if the attack is nullified. And as I said, it combos with Disgorge, making the opponent mill 5 cards from their deck, which is very, very good, and lets me be able to pull off Vanishing Death Hole or Last Death Violence even quicker. So I do enjoy this. I am running this at a 2-of. I'm planning on keeping running this at a 2-of, even in the next iteration of Abygale. For spells, we're running a pretty much newer spell lineup because of what the testing for the decks was. So we're running 4 Black Dragon Shields, standard reduction and gain of life. We're running 4 Black Cloth Blade, which is the Abygale mill style shield. So we're running, of course, running 4 to that. I'm running 3 Soul Steel. I just want to get Soul. I understand there's a better card out there. That card is multi-utility. I don't need it because I'm not looking for multiple effects off of it. I just need Soul. I got to maximize it because I got a larger number of cards that need Soul. Or Gauge, excuse me, I keep saying Soul, I mean Gauge, guys. I apologize. But I need Gauge, and this card lets me get a net at least 3 Gauge. Always 2, but possibly 3. And I need that because the Gauge is much more Gauge heavy. Now I'm running 3 Purgatory Loopholes. This weekend, after playtesting, I couldn't even make top table to show this deck off. I'm hoping this remedies this. I was sorely lacking in my ability to get monsters when I had a spell heavy hand, and I wasn't drawing into Purgatory Loophole enough, so I bounced this back up to 3 of. This lets me go get a Black Dragon monster. So long as there's at least 6 cards in my opponent's drop zone. That's very easy to achieve in this deck, even without getting some of the more mill effect monsters out. I can still just wait it out or wait for them to pay gauge, and I get to get my monsters. So I'm running this now to 3 of. This is less dead than the card we'll talk about in a little bit. So following this up, we are running 3 Gale Destructions. This is the Abygale style Death Grip. So it's pretty much the same as Death Grip, except it lets me also mill the opponent 2 cards off the top of their deck. I don't even have to have a monster on the field. I just have to have a buddy named Abygale. For my 2 ofs, we are running now just 2 Obituary. This is where I want to say sorry to Mario. Buddy, I did listen to you. I had this at 3. It actually cost me some games this weekend. You are absolutely right. This at 3, it lets me get consistency. The spell itself is fantastic. Pay gauge, I set it. I just sit there on it. It lets me draw a card. And whenever I can blow it, be it Balsam or any of my my impact monsters, I get to make the opponent discard a card. This is a fantastic spell. I highly recommend running it at least at a 2 of, max at a 3. I just had issues with it personally, so I bumped it back down to a 2 of. And then finally, we are running 2 Dead Carriers. Dead Carrier lets me get an item out of the drop zone. That's really important because if I gauge my weapon, my Dragon Forces, or my Gale Fang, I get to put them into play once, of course, I have the necessary requirements with Dragon Force. But this also lets me recur Gale Fang, which lets me get potentially another life and another card once I re-equip it. And on top of that, it also lets me recur a Black Dragon. That is size 2 or less after certain requirements are met, so more recursion. So guys, that is the updated version of Abygale. Currently, I am trying to make sure it stays constant with the meta. I really appreciate everybody taking the time watching this. I am always trying to test these decks out, see how well they'll do. I am going to try and get a new version of both Gem Clone and Force Element Zeta down the line. Hope you guys like this Abygale video, and we'll see you next time.